Stalingrad, 1942. The West Bank burned in ruins, yet the Volga whispered darker threats hidden beneath its black skin. Soldiers crossed under fire shells bursting overhead, yet many never reached shore, vanished without sound, without trace. Dawn revealed bodies surfaced pale, drained, marked with circular wounds, unnatural, precise, impossible to explain. Command stamped reports as drowned routine loss, yet whispers, spread faster than shells echoing through the camps. Men spoke of shadows beneath boats' coils unseen, moving, deliberate pacing, black water with hunger and intent. Survivors described mouths ringed with teeth, too wide, too deliberate, monstrous jaws, unfit for natural river life. Medics stitched wounds that would not close skin-bruised black veins, collapsing strength seeping like stolen breath. Reports buried the truth orders, enforced silence. But fear spread unchecked, breaking ranks like fire through straw. The Volga lifeline of the 62nd Army became grave and predator, an enemy no rifle could wound, no shell could kill. And so the story begins not of victory nor of triumph, but of silence, of a river that waits, that feeds forever. Autumn 1942. Stalingrad lay in ruins. The Volga became both lifeline and tomb, every crossing rehearsed like a funeral. The 62nd Army clung to the East Bank supplies, dwindling ferries, crude artillery hammering without pause or mercy. Each crossing carried no promised discipline, demanded obedience, but survival belonged to chance and cruel fate. Frost clung to rifles and helmets, breath frozen mid-air. Still, the soldiers marched silent under orders, unflinching. Lieutenant Mikhail Petrov commanded with grim resolve, duty above fear, mission above self-order, above survival. His men, young and weary, obeyed without protest, bound by drills hammered since conscription, chained by routine. Private Andrei Volkov. 20 clutched his rifle close, and his notebook, tighter ink, became his only prayer. By dim lamplight, Volkov sketched crude outlines of the river, hands shaking as shells thudded and rafters quaked. Nurse Anna Sokolova bound frost-bitten hands with steady touch. Her eyes betrayed exhaustion. She dared not speak. Camaraderie replaced comfort bred, broken in silence, laughter, brief shells echoing across water, mocking joy. Weapons were cleaned with ritual precision bolts, oiled barrels cleared as if routine itself defied inevitable death. The PPS etched drums clicked. Mosin bolts locked discipline steady, where courage faltered, iron routine forging brittle will. Officers barked to form the line, silence your steps. Each order a reminder, obedience was the only shield they had. Boots caked with mud cracked under frost. Every step a march between survival and collapse, endurance stretched thin. Rations came thin, soup watering. Each ladle counted, men swallowed quickly, hunger gnawing louder than gunfire itself. Sleep fractured, stolen in seconds between bombardments, helmets used as pillows, dreams shattered by concussive blasts. Bonds hardened in chaos, soldiers leaned on each other, trust forged where bullets stripped away all else that remained. Volkov scribbled, "We cross again tonight. Few return whole yet, the mission allows no choice, no delay, no mercy." Petrov smoked in silence, half his face hidden by shadow. Every drag weighed against lives he must order forward. The detachment rehearsed silently, hands on ropes, timing motions, discipline imposed, where chaos ruled without end. Behind broken walls, drills continued, even as shells fell, training not for glory, but survival under ceaseless fire. Orders, simple cross, reinforce hold, but execution meant rowing into black water and artillery fire waiting beyond. Officers spoke of strategy, supply lines. Orders from above, soldiers thought only of survival. One more night alive. The Volga loomed vast waters red with sacrifice. Every ripple whispered of men swallowed whole, never to return. Rumors spread. No ghosts, no myths, only inevitability. The river takes as much as the enemy does, maybe more. Still order stood. The crossing remained, silence demanded, fear buried under obedience, carved by war's hand. Artillery thunder shook ground. Snow drifted from beams. Nature itself seemed to strike in rhythm with German guns. Men exchanged glances. Unspoken words weighed heavier than rifles' duty, pressing harder than breath in their lungs. Camaraderie, masked terror hands, clasped promises, whispered, "See you on the other side." Few truly believed it. Boats dragged ashore, ropes creaking wood groaning preparations, echoing like funeral rites, practiced too often. Petrov raised his hand, steady, deliberate signal carved in stone, though his heart drowned heavy in dread, unseen. Volkov marked the hour 0240. Embark again. God grant this river mercy tonight. Ink bled on the frozen page. Silence heavier than bombardment, eyes fixed forward, breaths held the instant before orders carried them to water. The river swallowed boats, black water stretching wide each ripple, a warning of something unseen below the hulls. And so they crossed, not as men seeking triumph, but as condemned souls, each stroke of the oar an unspoken prayer. Dawn revealed bodies dragged ashore, skin pale wounds, circular deep unlike shell fragments or any known weapon. Field medics whispered tracing marks with trembling hands.
What is this?
Each wound a cavity drained, deliberate, too precise.
I have no idea.
Official notes stamped unknown trauma phrases that explained nothing yet demanded silence under strict command. Sokolova washed one such wound, her voice low.
Not ice.
Not shrapnel.
Something else.
Not frostbite. Something else clings, feeds, persists. Soldiers whispered predators of the river. Yet none matched these marks, too uniform, too calculated, too monstrous. One stretcher returned empty. The bearer swore his comrade vanished. Mid-crossing, dragged beneath the black swirl. The officer recorded, drowned in combat, a routine line concealing truths that gnawed at every surviving soul. Volkov wrote, "They disappear silently. No splash, no scream. Only the river itself swallowing them whole." In the mess tent, whispers spread, scars compared comrades pale and drained, gone before a single cry escaped. Some called it rumor hysteria bred by fear. But the shrinking rosters told a harsher, undeniable truth. A squad returned with half its number, official reason artillery unspoken. Whisper, the rest pulled below. Petrov demanded clarity, pressing command. He met silence, orders repeated coldly, the mission unchanged. Discipline began to crack. Each crossing felt less like duty and more like a march into the abyss itself. Soldiers tightened life vests, though none believed they knew the enemy below gave no chance to surface. Night after night, the river claimed its share, sometimes one, sometimes many, always without a trace left. Sokolova stitched wounds that never closed. Skin blackened, veins collapsed, strength drained like ebbing tide. The official term was constant combat drowned. No bullets, no shrapnel, only circular voids remained. Fear spread faster than orders could bind it. Discipline faltered where survival no longer aligned with duty. Men hesitated at boats' hands shaking on oars. Petrov's glare forced them forward, courage hollow and cold. In barracks, rumor turned into prayer icons, clenched tight, whispered bargains with gods of river and steel. A veteran whispered, "This is older than war." His words silenced, yet they spread faster than command's denial. Volkov wrote, "The river is no battlefield, it is a maw. It waits, it feeds it, remembers the weight of fear." The Volga moved unnaturally, currents pulled without wind, eddies formed without reason, circling with intent. Boatmen crossed with eyes averted, afraid a single glance into the depths could call the unseen closer. Some refused to board court-martialed as deserters, better prison than black water shame over unseen death. Reports stacked, stamped, filed, each one clinical, detached, burying human terror beneath military ink. Sokolova confessed, "I treat men torn by shells daily, but these wounds drain spirit as well as flesh." Survivors counted aloud on shore numbers, spoken like litany breaking as more names fell silent each night. Petrov watched the lists shrink, jaw clenched, an officer chained by orders, powerless against what stole his men. Nights grew quieter, no jokes, no laughter. Silence weighed heavier than artillery, crushing every last spirit. The Volga's mist thickened. Swallowing sound boats drifted, blind silence deeper than any battlefield deserved. Some swore they heard sloshing below, slow, deliberate, like something vast pacing beneath their fragile hulls. A soldier fainted mid-embarkation, whispering, "The river breathes. It wants us." He never crossed again. Command dismissed all claims discipline enforced with threats, but no threat outweighed dread of the black water. Still beneath banners of duty, men rode on obedience bound them, even as the river seemed to hunger below. Midnight descents brought silence heavier than bombs. Each crossing felt like stepping into an unseen ambush. Oars cut the water slowly, rhythm-breaking soldiers glancing at ripples, fearing what might stir beneath. Petrov barked orders with steel in his voice. Discipline kept movement, though eyes betrayed despair. Volkov wrote, "The river waits, silent until it takes." His hands shook, ink smearing as the boat swayed. A sudden lurch struck the hull wood. Groaned men froze, then a scream split the night, cut short mid-breath. Water boiled for seconds, then calmed, only a helmet floated, rocking gently, silence reclaiming the dark. Officers logged it as drowned artillery induced, but every soldier knew shells never struck so silently. Survivors clutched rifles, fingers trembling, discipline held, but fear throbbed louder than the river's current. Petrov stared into the water, jaw locked. He spoke nothing yet, his silence weighed heavier than any order. Boats creaked, ropes strained, men whispered prayers. Oars sounded more like pleas than commands in the fog. One soldier vanished mid-row, hands slipping, gone before shouts could rise, swallowed without a trace. The squad landed half its number, those ashore stared back at empty waves. Losses counted in silence. Volkov marked names in his notebook, each line shorter. His journal became their only memorial of ghosts. Rumors grew of leeches the size of men denied by command, yet carved deeper with every missing soldier. Sokolova saw drained wounds reopen at night. Bandages soaked veins, blackened skin collapsing in silence. The wounded were avoided, eyes averted, as though they carried curses, silent evidence no one wished to face. A veteran spat into the water, muttering, "It feeds at night, always at night." His words froze the squad. Patrols returned fewer, each dawn, reports redacted, labeled attrition, truth buried beneath military ink. Men whispered of shadows below, shapes coiling, dispersing, before eyes could prove what fear already knew. A boat capsized midstream, no blast, no shell. Just a sudden heave, screams muffled, then silence absolute. On shore, only oars drifted back, mute testimony to men dragged under rifles and voices lost in black water. Petrov forced the next crossing salute, stiff his face, a mask of orders, heavier than his own conscience. Soldiers obeyed, but silence screamed louder than artillery obedience, fraying under the weight of unseen dread. Volkov wrote, "We row into darkness, yet the darkness rose back." His ink trailed as fear outran his words.
Jackson.
In barracks, men awoke
Ramirez.
drenched dreams of water,
Lee.
pulling teeth, gnashing phantom voices drowned in fog. Command dismissed it as nerves exhaustion, yet nightmares spread synchronized with missing names each dawn. Even rations lost taste, bread, chewed like ash soup, swallowed with dread. Every meal rehearsal for death. Volga fog thickened unnaturally.
Holy be your
Boats
name.
vanished from sight in meters,
Your
oars
kingdom come.
echoing like ghosts
Your
in
will be
hollow
done.
dark. Soldiers gripped ropes, tighter knuckles white, as if rope alone could anchor them against what lurked unseen. A splash erupted, blood arced across deck, then silence boots left rocking on planks, wet with crimson. The squad froze, rifles raised into emptiness, no target, only water rippling, satisfied in its hunger. Petrov did not flinch, his gaze fixed on horizon, voice low row. The men obeyed, hearts drowned already. Volkov pressed his journal to chest, whispering lines, as prayers ink blurred, yet fear etched deeper than steel. Dawn revealed corpses, pale as wax. Circular wounds gnawed deep bodies, returned emptied, not consumed whole. Sokolova stitched, trembling, her voice breaking. Something drains them. Not wounds, not disease, something else. The wounded shivered even near fires. Eyes, hollow veins collapsing, death slower than drowning, crueler than bullets. Men boarded boats, armed not with rifles, but with dread fingers, stiff on triggers, hearts louder than weapons. A boatman swore he saw a mouth open, below rings of teeth closing, gone, the river sealing its secret. Petrov confronted command words, clipped, precise response cold. Proceed. Orders stand. Nothing more offered. Men obeyed, but no longer as soldiers. They rowed like condemned, each oar. Stroke an unspoken farewell. Volkov etched names too quickly. Pages filling with silence, his notebook became the unit's only gravestone. Shellfire rumbled overhead, but men feared silence more. Sound meant survival. Silence meant the river had chosen. Even laughter died, jokes brittle, swallowed fast. Comrades spoke only with eyes heavy with unshared terror. Each crossing bled courage. The Volga devoured not only bodies, but the discipline that once held their line. And so the 62nd rode on obedience, chained them forward, while the Black River uncoiled beneath their feet. Midnight orders pushed new boats into the Volga fog, thick silence, heavy fear, thicker than steel discipline itself. Petrov's men rowed steady, yet every splash of oar felt like summons, each ripple a signal to unseen predators. A sudden jolt struck hull. Splitting men lurched, rifles clattered, then the water erupted in boiling chaos. Screams cut short, swallowed in seconds, shadows coiling beneath, too vast, too deliberate for mere current. Volkov clung to the gunwale, eyes wide. He swore he saw a mouth ringed with teeth closing around his comrade. The boat capsized. Fully, men tossed into black waves. Cries echoed, then silence, only blood rising to surface. Officers logged artillery strike, yet no shell fell, no fire burned, only the river itself claimed the squad. Survivors staggered ashore, faces, pale eyes, hollow discipline shattered, replaced by raw, unspoken terror. Sokolova examined the recovered flesh, drained wounds. Circular veins collapsed, no bullet, no blade, no sense. She whispered, "Not drowning, feeding." Her words spread faster than orders, more lethal than silence itself.
Bullets vanish
Petrov
into
stood
water,
firm,
nothing
orders,
stops.
unchanged, yet his hand trembled, lighting a cigarette, gaze fixed on cursed waters. Another crossing launched, this time rifles raised triggers, half-pulled, men rowing as if into their own graves.
Feeding.
Midstream shadows surged.
Not drowning.
Water lifted unnaturally. Oars
drowning,
snapped,
Ace.
cries burst. Blood painted the fog crimson. Volkov wrote, "We fired into blackness, bullets vanished, no sound, but water feeding on our desperate shots. Corpses surfaced pale as snow wounds, uniform, each body branded by something methodical, precise, merciless. Boats drifted back empty, only helmets, rifles, floating gloves, mute relics of men erased from existence. The river grew hungrier. Each night, its silence mocked discipline, its appetite rivaled only by German fire. Men muttered prayers, while rowing icons clenched promises, whispered oaths to families never to be fulfilled. A veteran screamed midstream, firing into water splash after splash. Then silence rifle drifted, man gone. Petrov stared, rigid, voice thin, row. The order rang hollow, drowned by the current's relentless pull. Sokolova stitched until her hands bled, bandages. Futile wounds reopening as if river claws still dug inside. Reports buried truth, command stamped, drowned combat loss, yet whispers spread fear, breeding disobedience. Some refused to board, arrested as deserters, better prison than black water, better shame than unseen death. The Volga fog thickened further, muffling all sound. Boats vanished within meters, each crossing blind cursed. Survivors spoke of massive shapes circling water, heaving unnaturally, then striking with surgical precision. Volkov's journal ink smeared. They choose, they strike, they vanish. His words trembled, carved in dread itself. Men rowed slower hearts, faster oars scraping like bones, dragged across coffins, each motion echoing finality. Petrov enforced silence. But silence betrayed them. The river waited, listening, learning the rhythm of fear. A boat disappeared entirely, swallowed whole. No wreckage, only bubbles, rising, faint iron scent on the air. The roster shrank nightly. Names crossed out, bodies absent, discipline, hollowed inevitability, thick as fog. Soldiers avoided each other's eyes. Fear spread quicker than rations, heavier than rifles, slung on weary backs. Even artillery felt merciful, known human visible, while the river's enemy stayed unseen, merciless, patient. Survivors stopped counting losses, numbers lost. Meaning the river set its own measure, its own terrible toll. Petrov sent final report, casualties heavy.
They are feeding.
Cause unknown.
They are
His words
feeding
clipped
still.
silence, in between far heavier. Sokolova wept unseen binding wounds that never healed her hands, trembling her faith drowned with each stitch. Volkov closed his notebook. Ink blurred last line, scrawled, "The river is alive, and it has learned our names. Nights fell
Lord,
darker.
hear
Silence
my
deeper, the
prayer.
Volga itself
Deliver
seemed
me from
sentient,
this
its
storm.
hunger synchronized with battle's pace. Boats vanished before dawn, leaving ripples only, no cries, no wreckage, just emptiness, endless, absolute. Still men crossed, obedience stronger than survival, each oar stroke a condemned heartbeat against black waters. And thus, the climax came not in victory, nor in fire, but silence, as the river fed and the soldiers obeyed. Dawn broke in silence, boats adrift, survivors numb, disciplined, hollowed grief too vast to carry or name. Petrov filed report words, clipped casualties, sustained cause undetermined. Truth buried in frozen ink. Soldiers returned, pale eyes, vacant, their silence louder than rifles, more final than any officer's command. Volkov closed his journal pages, short names struck through his record now, only a ledger of absence. Sokolova washed her hands raw, water pink with blood. Yet the stench of fear lingered heavier than smoke. The roster shrank again, missing, marked, drowned, no mention of wounds, too strange, too circular, too cruel. Prisoners of silence, men obeyed orders, pressed forward, though none dared question what the river demanded. Petrov lit another cigarette ash, trembling, his gaze fixed outward, seeing nothing but black current flowing. Survivors exchanged no words, only glances heavy with memory guilt and unspoken dread of what remained. Even laughter vanished, mess halls, silent spoons, clinking faintly against tin cups of watery soup, ghost-like. Each man carried a ghost of comrades, dragged away, screams, lost in fog, and the river's hunger never sated. Sokolova stitched wounds that reopened, nightly, men fading despite her care, as though drained from the inside. Reports filed as routine casualty lists, stamped neat war demanded, inked order, not the chaos truth carried. The Volga still flowed, red surface calm. Violence hidden below, no witness dared speak of what truly fed. Nights grew heavier, crossing slower, obedience replaced courage. Each mission, a funeral in disguise. Volkov wrote, "We row without hope, now only duty keeps us afloat." His ink froze and blurred on the page. Petrov watched his men falter, jaw tight, an officer chained to orders, powerless against unseen predators. The camp sank into silence. Fear bred caution, caution bred despair, heavier than artillery or falling steel. Survivors stopped counting losses. Death became routine life, uncertain, each dawn stolen by the river's toll. Some prayed openly. Others clenched icons, each ritual, an act of defiance against a terror they could not see. Command pressed harder, forbidding whispers, yet silence proved sharper, spreading like infection in the ranks. Sokolova wept unseen, her reports clinical. Her heart shattered, her faith, drowned in words left unsaid. Men no longer wrote letters home, truth unspoken lies, impossible silence, their only shield from despair. The Volga held their eyes, each ripple a reminder,
Orders
each reflection
are louder
a
than
ghost
screams.
staring back from black water. Exhaustion gnawed deeper rations, tasteless sleep, fractured courage drained like water seeping from a wound. Petrov saluted, fallen names, lips tight, his orders, a mask, his heart drowned already beneath the dark current. Volkov etched one last line. "We are not soldiers anymore, only offerings
No
made
one
to the
crosses
endless
twice.
river." Fog thickened, shells fell. But men feared silence. More silence meant the river had chosen its prey. Duty demanded crossings. Still obedience stronger than survival, yet each oar stroke felt like final judgment. And so the aftermath came. Not victory, not survival, but silence. The river's tribute collected in full. Years later, official files bore no trace casualties, marked routine, no mention of wounds too strange to name. Reports stamped, drowned artillery loss, truth smothered in ink, history cleansed of its unholy horrors. Volkov's journal vanished last page, torn his testimony, erased his silence, left haunting unexplained. Petrov listed as missing in action, his fate sealed not by bullets, but by the black water of the Volga. Nurse Sokolova retired quietly, her memories unspoken, her eyes shadowed by the ghosts of the river. Survivors scattered names lost in time, each carried nightmares, none spoke silence, their final battlefield. In taverns, fishermen whispered of shapes too large for sturgeon, too silent for drifting logs in dark water. Nets returned, torn boats rocked in still current echoes of wartime dread, revived in uneasy peace. Divers sent decades later reported currents. Unnatural radios cut off men vanished, never surfacing again. Official inquiries blamed accidents. Families mourned, yet whispers spread of darker truths drowned below. Villagers marked the riverbank with crosses, not for soldiers, but for what still lingered beneath the waters. Moonlit nights brought mist thick as wartime locals swore they heard oars rowing, though no boats appeared. Some claimed to see pale faces below the surface eyes, open mouths ringed with endless circling teeth. Command dismissed all tales science demanded proof, but the river offered only silence, patient and deep. The Volga flowed calm by day, but shadows lingered beneath memory too heavy for maps or history to hold. Ghost stories spread among recruits, warnings cloaked as jokes, fear disguised as laughter around campfires. Children refused to swim near the crossing. Elders whispered, the river remembers blood. It never forgets. A diver's mask washed ashore, cracked and empty. His body never found his name spoken, only in whispers. Historians wrote of rubble fire steel at Stalingrad, but not of the hunger lurking beneath the lifeline river. Volkov's name resurfaced in rumor. His notebook glimpsed in archives, then locked away, erased once again. Petrov's last order echoed still row. Men obeyed then, and the river obeyed nothing, not even command. Sokolova's letters spoke of dreams. Water-rising corridors, flooding voices drowned in endless fog. Survivors' aged voices cracked. None dared record what discipline once forbade fear, sealed their throats. A veteran whispered on his deathbed. The Volga took more than men. It swallowed memory itself. At night, mist curled along the banks, shapes moved unseen, waiting as though time itself had frozen still. Some swore they saw ripples without wind currents shifting like breath beneath a vast sleeping beast. The river swallowed moonlight stars. Drowned in black surface silence deeper than night itself lingered. Silence became evidence. No bird calls, no waves, only waiting. Endless, deliberate, hungry silence. The Volga flowed wide red with memory, a monument of steel bone, and something older still beneath. And so the record ends unfinished, unresolved. The river keeps its secrets, and its hunger endures forever.